the conference theme is just one more page. We've all had that book where we sit up at night saying, oh, I want to keep my eyes open for one more page. Those are the books that I want to talk about.
For those who don't know, I'm dyslexic, which means I have a learning disability. My eyes read. I'm a very slow reader. My eyes jump when I read. So for me to finish any kind of book has been a real challenge for most of my life. And I didn't really understand it or learn how to get around it in my high school years. I didn't quite come to college until I found a book series that I thoroughly enjoyed. The book series is called Wheel of Time. It is a 14-book series. Each book is 800 to 1,200 pages long.
Whoa.
So for me, as a dyslexic person, to tell you that I got through all 14 of those books is a major challenge. But it was so well written and so captivating at the time that I just started at book 1 and it just became a challenge, a completest challenge. I started out, I'm going to finish this series, and by George, somehow I got through all 14 of those books. But it's a fantasy book, so it's got the wizards and the witches and the warriors and the archers and the whole political scene with the politics of the queens and the kings fighting each other to come about. And then you've got the end of the world. You got the big baddie that's trying to take over. And all these different factions are trying not to squabble with each other so much to come together to fight the big baddie. It's an incredibly dense, character-rich series that one would expect for 14 books of 1,200 pages each. And I just really grabbed it, and it was that turning point that really taught me how to sit down and sink my teeth into a book and figure out how to read properly.
Ladies and gentlemen, my favorite book is here. Toastmaster Charlie and Joanne and their business, Create Your New Beginning, offer my book that I wrote. It is a blessing that I had the opportunity to sit down and write this book for you. This is a book for you, and it is about personal finance. The first half of the book talks about things that you should probably avoid, like excessive credit card debt. Some would say any credit card debt. We're going to talk about things like avoiding getting a DUI, because most people that get one don't realize that's a $10,000 bill, like that. So if you can't afford $10,000 to pay for your first DUI, probably want to avoid that. It talks about personal loans. It talks about payday loans, pawn shops, and other subprime lending tools that are available for people who think they are desperate, but there are alternatives discussed in this book to be able to avoid those bad things. That's the first half of the book. The second half of the book are the good things to do. Establish a sustainable budget. Learn how to save. Learn how to prepare for retirement. Learn how to buy insurance. Learn how to buy real estate. Learn how to buy an automobile. All of those things are extremely important to be able to succeed and reduce your financial stress so that you can increase your financial well-being.
Very much like James, I do have a preferred fantasy series. It's called A Song of Ice and Fire, but you may know of it as Game of Thrones because of a popular HBO series. But of course, within the 5 books that have been published, hopefully 6, the third book is my favorite, The Storm of Swords. And within The Storm of Swords, so many events occur. So many characters interact with each other who hadn't met before. There have been betrayals, infamous betrayals, that if anybody who had read the books before the series, they knew what was going to happen at a certain wedding. And then not only that, a second wedding where there was an infamous death. And for anybody who has read the books and is trying not to spoil it with their laughs, thank you. Thank you for being inconspicuous.
Oh, good.
And of course, one of the last things that did happen in the Storm of Swords was also a major battle within the wall where the wildlings attacked. And all that happened with two weddings. So thank you, George R. R. Martin, for writing Storm of Swords.
Thank you, Toastmasters. I have lots of favorite books, but we'll go with one that has guided me through life, and that's Stephen Covey. I'm sure everybody's read it, and if you haven't, please do. It is the 7 highly effective strategies of leadership. And he starts, and I've tried to follow some of them through my life. Let's see if I can remember. The first one is proactivity. That one I got down to a science. Because I'm a project manager, the second one is know your end state. In project management, we used to say, what does the house on the hill look like? Design to the house on the hill and then take it backwards. Very, very important in project management. The next one is to organize. Always stay organized, make sure your priorities are intact, and put the first what's first and second what's second, and keep continuity throughout. Always have a win-win attitude. So while we're going through the risks and losses, keep in mind your win-win attitude and keep your eye on the prize to move forward. First, understand what you're doing. It's better to understand than to be understood. You have to understand first, then understood later. The next is synergy and how we all come together and work as teamwork. And the last one is to keep your skill set sharp and engaged. I always felt like this book should have been updated because I think a very important 8th one is emotional intelligence. I find that very, very important in the workplace and very lacking in corporate America. So that was my favorite book. I followed it throughout my corporate career. It's given me some great advice, and Stephen Covey not only wrote the book, he also has lots of workbooks and organizers to help people stay organized. So I thought that was fantastic.